Hi gang, so today's Women's Health Talk is all on bloating. This is our second health talk this week. Earlier in the week I did one on hot flashes and night sweats, and now I'm going to talk about bloating. And this doesn't have to be just women's health, but there is a lot of women who suffer with bloating to do with either her monthly cycle, but also to do with different times within her life. I'm actually pre-recording this a little bit earlier because my car's in the garage this afternoon because there's quite a few different things going wrong with it and we've got a fault going on, which means it's got to be actioned. So apologies, I can't actually say physically hi to those of you that come up on the live, but if you do come on the live, please make a comment and I can always have a little look at those comments afterwards. Or if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask those questions in the comment box. So thinking about what causes bloating with regards to, women's health and whether or not menopause can actually cause abdominal bloating, I think it's really important to recognize that you may sometimes put certain conditions down to the menopause, which actually might not be to do with the menopause, but it's good to kind of have all the information. So bloating seems to get worse during the menopause. It can be tempting to blame the bloat on your hormones. But really, do midlife hormones actually change? Do they the cause of the change, do they actually cause the bloating? Maybe, but it can be complicated. And I think what you need to recognize is it might not actually be that straightforward, that there might be some other factors which are causing the bloating. So it's important to recognize that. There have been several studies that perimenopausal women, both with and without IBS, seem to have more abdominal bloating, digestive problems, and gas than pre-menopausal women do. But as with everything, it's sometimes really unclear whether or not these studies really understand how actually the menopause cause those effects. What might be a possible explanation is that there's a shift in ovarian hormone, such as those obviously during like menstruation. So it's very similar to the same. And that can happen in early stages of perimenopause. And that can affect your sensitivity, which can lead to bloating or discomfort in women, especially with IBS. Another one could be, it might be actually some of the other side effects that can happen due to the menopause, things like hot flashes, sleep disruption, mood alterations, which can then also then worsen with regards to those side effects, but then the stress then that comes with having hot flashes, being tired because you are disrupted during your sleep, changes within your mood, and then the stress and the anxiety that comes within that could actually be the cause of the bloat. So it might not be the actual hormones that are causing the bloat, but the fact that your hormones are causing other things that are then giving you stress, and it's the stress then that essentially is causing the bloat. Sometimes as well, the hormone replacement therapy, HRT, can also cause bloating because it can prevent digested food, from moving through the intestines as quickly as it normally would. So sometimes that can affect your digestive system just because of the medication that you're having. That can also cause the bloat. I think definitely bloating is one of the most frequent experiences that a lot of women who enter perimenopause or menopause often talk about. And they will talk about the menopausal bloat. Bloating can cause gas, can lead to discomfort, can be awkward, can be embarrassing. It can lead to tightness around your abdominal area, and it can last for hours and sometimes even days. And often as well, those symptoms can be experienced at a younger age as well, with women who are younger who might be going and having PMS. So a couple of things to be aware of with regards to bloating and what might be the cause of it. So first of all, gas is a main culprit. It's a natural byproduct of digestion, but too much internal intergestinal gas means your digestion has gone a little bit AWOL. And while you can kind of ingest gases by swallowing air or drinking carbonated beverages, these gases mostly can, escape before they reach your intestines. Gases actually that are in your intestines are mostly produced by your gut bacteria. So this is when you digest carbohydrates, and the process of that is like fermentation. So if you're having a lot of carbohydrates, which are complex carbohydrates, and they're actually causing you to have a lot of interdigestional gas, it can then increase the amount of fermentation which is going on within the gut, producing more gas, producing more bloat. So if there's too much of that going on, it might be because too many carbohydrates weren't naturally absorbed earlier on in your digestive process before it reaches the gut bacteria. That could be due to lots of reasons. Maybe you ate too much, maybe you ate too fast for proper digestion, or maybe you may have a sensitivity or a food intolerance to those types of foods. Sometimes as well, we may experience different things that can go on with regards to our digestion. So this is where essentially we might have a bit of a backup or a restriction within our digestive tract, where the muscles that normally move the digestive contents along are somehow impaired, and a build up of any digestive contents within the digestive tract will leave less room for normal amounts of gas to go through. So that often when you've got less room for other things in your abdominals, your abdomen, you will then maybe have a build-up of airway fluids and fats, making it feel tighter. And that build-up, that kind of change in that digestive tract, could be because of certain hormones that kind of are going on. So we can kind of need to be aware of that as well. Constipation is a big culprit when it comes to bloating, and a lot of people don't realize they're constipated because you may actually be still going to the toilet, or you may be going slightly less, but there are other signs of constipation rather than just not being able to empty your bowels. If you're straining at the start or the finish of your bowel movement, that's a sign of constipation. If your stools look like little rocks or pebbles, that's a sign of constipation, that you're not able to actually, get rid of everything that you need to get rid of, or not feeling empty after your bowel movement. And constipation can cause a lot of abdominal pain and bloating. The longer your stools will essentially stay in the colon, there's more time for bacteria to build up within there and to have time to ferment, and resulting in more gas and more bloating as well. And aside from constipation, other causes of bloating could be gut sensitivity. So people with IBS, very sensitive to gas, and it can cause a lot of pain and cramping and diarrhea. You may have small bacterial overgrowth. So most healthy people have relatively few bacteria in the small intestine. People who have surgery internally and or have IBS with diarrhea are more likely to have maybe small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, which can cause bloating. So if you've had an operation, within your gut due to lots of different reasons, or if you've got IBS, again, that can be another cause of it. Sometimes as well, it could be a gynecological problem. So some problems with regards to your ovaries or your uterus may cause bloating, which means, you definitely need to get that checked out with your GP and make sure that you are always having your annual pelvic exam, your smear test, if you're still having them as well. If you don't know what the cause is, then just kind of being aware of maybe thinking about trying to treat for preventing gas or bloating definitely needs to come from diet first. And there are definitely foods which need to be kind of avoided because these can have a natural gas producing fermentation that goes on within the gut. So being aware of that, what you might want to do is start to limit these foods and see if it makes a difference with you. So certain wheat, onions, garlic, legumes and beans can cause a lot of gas producing. So you might want to limit those or cut them out completely. Certain lactose within milk, yogurt and ice cream can also cause it. Certain fructose, which is sugar found in fruits and honeys. So again, maybe limiting the amount of apples or pears because they're very high in fructose, being aware of that. But also the sugars that are found in things like apricots and nectarines, plums, cauliflower, as well as chewing gum and obviously sweets can build up these kind of natural gases within the gut. So if you limit them, you might find that actually your bloating and your excess gas reduces massively. So just kind of being aware of that and noticing, and again, being a bit of a diet detective when it comes to your food, keeping a food diary. I always recommend that, maybe cutting out a few or one at a time, seeing if it makes a result for you. I think the key to preventing bloating is understanding its cause. If mild constipation is the problem, a fiber-rich diet, lots of water and exercise can help. But those steps won't help if it's chronic constipation. So chronic constipation and other conditions like IBS or certain other gastro conditions and diseases definitely require medical treatment. So it's always important to speak to your doctor if you start making changes with your diet and it doesn't make a difference. And then essentially, you want to speak to them and get some more advice over what's happening within you. I always recommend that, you start the day with hot water and you pour that hot water over stemmed ginger, so raw ginger, peel it, rough it up a little bit, pour your hot water over it and slice lemon and let that cool slightly so it's kind of tepid, and then you drink that as your first drink rather than putting caffeine into your gut first of all, because caffeine is an inflammatory. So if you're putting lots of inflammatory foods and drinks into your gut, that is going to cause inflammation within the gut, just like it would do if you had a sore knee and you kept jumping on it. If you've got a sore tummy and you keep piling inflammatory food within it, it's going to cause it to be inflamed, causing bloat, causing gut gas. So maybe starting the day, rather than starting the day with coffee or a tea, remember tea's got a lot of caffeine in it as well, starting the day with maybe a hot water over lemon and ginger. Ginger is a natural anti-inflammatory, and the lemon can help just, again, go through helping everything move through the body a little bit better, sort of as a natural flush out. And then see if that makes a difference. And then you can always have that as your cup that you can just keep pouring water over all day to keep your hydration up. Lots of people experience bloating because they don't drink enough water, and then they don't drink water because they think it's going to make them more bloated. But actually, people who drink enough water don't experience bloating. So remember, water definitely needs to be key. Drinking at least 2 litres of water, because your body naturally gets rid of that every day without you doing anything. So drinking at least 2 litres of water will also help with regards to bloating and gas, even though probably when you are bloated at the time, it probably feels like it's the last thing that you want to do. Don't gulp it, because you'll be putting more gases into your gut. So sip it, sip water, sip it throughout the day, and keep hydrated all the way through. So just being aware of those foods that can naturally cause gas within you, but also being aware of the fact that, yes, we might put bloating and gas down to the menopause, but actually it's not really the issue of the hormone change that's going on, but more so the stress that's caused by some of the other symptoms. So the stress that you experience because you're having night sweats, or because you're having hot flashes, or because you're not sleeping very well, the fact that your mood's changing and it's causing you to be more stressed, more anxious. So I think once we understand that, then the stress that's causing you to then become bloated because of those things, we can then start to act on those. So this is why I did these 2 talks together this week, the one on the hot flashes and the night sweats, linked with bloating, because it can be the fact that they are causing you to be stressed. The stress then is causing you to bloat. So it's kind of a knock-on effect. So I think if we can deal with the hot flashes and we can deal with the night sweats first, you might find that your stress levels drop, and then you might find actually that your bloating goes. So try food first, stay hydrated, deal with those stresses, and you might find then the bloating reduces. If it doesn't, you really need to speak to your GP. So I hope that's helped, ladies. Please let me know if there's any questions. Otherwise, have a lovely afternoon, and I will see you tomorrow morning for stretch.